Since joining the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company, corporate pastry chef Norman Love has opened 23 hotels. He obviously still finds time to bake, being one of 6 pastry chefs selected for the World Pastry Cup 1999 Team USA. From his base in Naples, Florida, he presents banana chocolate tart and Creole sauce. A sweet dough is started with butter, salt, powdered sugar, almond flour, and cake flour.
And we're going to start this very slowly. As soon as it starts to incorporate, we're going to add some whole eggs, and we're going to mix this into a very smooth mass. This is very unlike most of the procedures in making sweet dough or sabli dough. So normally the butter and the sugar are creamed and eggs are added, and then the dry is added at the end. This is a little bit different technique.
More cake flour is added at the end.
And once all the ingredients are well incorporated, we're going to scrape down the bowl. And we're going to add a second amount of cake flour. And this is where it needs to be, you need to be a little bit more careful in the mixing. Once the flour is incorporated into the mixture, we need to stop the machine immediately. If you overmix the dough, what happens is that you develop a little bit of the gluten in the flour, and ultimately the dough will shrink when baked. So it's very, very important to just bring the ingredients together until you have an incorporated mass and stop the machine. In fact, you can even finish the mass on a floured table, lightly floured table, rather than over mixing in the bowl. So just until the mixture forms a ball, the machine is stopped. I always find it easier to place the dough into a little bit of a rectangle shape. This will ensure that this makes it easier to, when you go to cut the dough, once it becomes a firm mass, into accurately cutting pieces and sizes that you need. It's then covered with plastic and placed in the refrigerator for about 2 hours.
The rested and chilled dough is rolled out to form a thin crust.
Each time lifting the dough, prevent the sticking. Once the dough has been rolled out to the thickness that you desire, we take a large cutter and we're going to punch out discs. And these discs now can be placed back into a refrigerator, become very easy to use afterwards.
The tart dough is formed into ring molds.
Once you've rolled all the shells, you're going to place them into the refrigerator and allow the dough to rest for about an hour before you bake them in a 350 or 340 degree oven. You can dock the bottoms just a little bit with a knife to avoid any bubbling on the bottom. It'll keep a very nice and flat shell.
The finished tarts are cooled in the ring molds. Meanwhile, sliced bananas are caramelized in butter and brown sugar.
And just a touch of lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice. We're going to allow the butter and sugar to melt together and begin to caramelize. Bananas do not require a lot of cooking time. In fact, the heat that's generated in a pan of caramelized sugar by itself will cook the bananas in a very short amount of time. So once it starts to melt and caramelize, we can add our bananas. We're going to add a little bit of rum, dark rum.
More lemon juice.
And I like to finish the it off with just a little piece of butter. Again, it helps smooth the taste out a little bit. Heavy cream also could be added if you'd like, a little bit creamier or richer sauce. Because it's with a chocolate tart and the chocolate is so rich, prefer to keep the bananas a little bit on the cleaner side, cleaner tasting. I'm going to reduce this caramel just a little bit, thicken it a bit.
The bananas go onto a sheet pan to cool.
You can place them in the refrigerator, ensure they can be prepared a day or so in advance.
The cool bananas and caramel sauce layer the bottom of the tart shell. Meanwhile, bittersweet chocolate is finely chopped for the ganache filling.
And I'm going to add my trimoline, which is an invert sugar. You could use and substitute honey if you wanted, or glucose also could be used. This will keep the ganache very smooth, prevent crystallization.
Now hot cream.
Secondly is that we place the cream in very small intervals, very much like making mayonnaise, where you're slowly adding your oil to your whisking eggs and working very rapidly in the center to create an emulsion. Ganache is an emulsion. And as you notice then, you start to see a very shiny and also a very elastic material, substance. This is the beginning of the emulsion.
After all the cream is incorporated, the ganache is finished with butter and further emulsified with a stick blender. The ganache is ladled into the tart. Keep the tart at room temperature. Do not refrigerate. The Creole sauce contains cream, banana puree, lemon juice, and zest.
A little bit of saffron. Okay, and some Myers dark rum. And we're going to heat this to a boil. Some sugar also, a little bit. We're going to mix all this together, bring it to a boil, and then with the hand blender, we're going to emulsify and puree all the ingredients very well.
The sauce is strained and refrigerated before service. The complex presentation starts with cutting a disc from the center of the tart. Then, using melted chocolate as a glue, a disc is attached to a chocolate cone. The cone is then placed inside the hole in the tart. It too is held in place with melted chocolate, which is quickly cooled with a little butane spray. Then the circle cutout goes onto the chocolate disc.
Now, the ice cream that I prepared for this dessert is a chocolate malted ice cream. So as an accompaniment or an anchor to my ice cream, I'm going to use the infamous chocolate Whoppers, malted balls. And I'm going to secure those just with a touch of chocolate so that they don't slide on the plate.
Some of the Creole sauce goes into the chocolate cone. Some chocolate garnishes are added, and a canal of chocolate malted milk ice cream finishes the plate. This is probably not a good dessert to serve to your bridge club.